Listen, I need you to look at your bank account right now. Not later, right now. Does the number you see reflect the amount of stress, hard work, and hours you've poured into your job over the last 5 years? For 90% of people, the answer is a heartbreaking no. We are living through one of the most confusing financial eras in history. You're making money, maybe even decent money, but it feels like it evaporates before it even hits your savings. You aren't crazy, and you aren't bad with money. You are fighting an invisible war against an economic system designed to keep you running on a hamster wheel until you're 65. But here is the good news. The math of freedom is actually simpler than the math of survival once you know the variables. Today, we aren't just talking about saving a few bucks on coffee. We are going to dismantle the entire psychological and mathematical trap that keeps the middle class poor. And I'm going to give you the exact blueprint to break out of it starting today. This is the year you stop drifting and start building. Let's get really uncomfortable for a second and talk about the math that nobody wants to show you, because understanding this is the only way you survive the next decade. If you follow the standard path, get a degree, buy a car with a loan, get a mortgage you can barely afford, and save 5% of your income, you are mathematically guaranteed to be broke. I call this the middle class bankruptcy algorithm. Let's break down why $50,000 or even $70,000 feels like poverty today. It's not just inflation, it's lifestyle creep masquerading as necessity. When you finance a car for $600 a month, you aren't just losing $600, you are losing the compound interest on that $600 over the next 40 years. If you invested that car payment into an S&P 500 index fund, returning an average of 8 to 10%, that single decision to drive a beater instead of a new SUV is worth over $3.2 million by the time you retire. Think about that. You are driving a multi-million-dollar mistake. But it goes deeper. The system relies on you paying stupid tax, interest on credit cards, late fees, and the premium prices paid for convenience because you're too exhausted from working to meal prep or shop smart. We have to talk about the zero-sum monthly game. Most people structure their lives so their expenses equal their income. If they make $4,000, they spend $4,000. When they get a raise to $5,000, they suddenly need a better apartment or a newer phone, and they spend $5,000. This is why you feel like you're running in mud. To escape, you have to break the equation. You need to create a wealth gap, an artificial margin where you live on 70% of your income regardless of how much you make. This requires a level of discipline that feels painful at first, but let me tell you about the pain of regret. The pain of waking up at 50 with nothing is infinitely worse than the pain of driving a 2010 Honda Civic when you're 30. The math of being broke is expensive. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you can't buy in bulk, you can't pay for insurance up front to get discounts, and you can't handle a $500 emergency without borrowing at 25% interest. Poverty charges interest. Wealth earns it. The shift happens when you realize that every dollar you spend is an employee you just fired. Every dollar you invest is an employee that will work for you 24/7, never get sick, never complain, and eventually hire more employees, interest, for you. We see this in the $100 strategy we talk about on this channel. People think they need $10,000 to start investing. Wrong. You need $100 and the guts to be consistent. If you start investing $100 a month at age 25, you aren't just saving money, you are buying your freedom. But if you wait until you're 35 because you want to enjoy your 20s, you have to invest nearly double the amount just to catch up. The cost of waiting is the most expensive bill you will ever pay. You are paying for your procrastination with years of your future freedom. We are seeing a bifurcation in the economy, those who own assets and those who just own liabilities. Inflation hurts consumers, but it helps asset owners because the price of homes, stocks, and businesses goes up. If you are sitting on the sidelines holding cash, or worse, debt, you are being eaten alive. You must cross the chasm from consumer to owner. This isn't about being greedy, it's about self-preservation. The safe route of saving money in a bank account is actually the risky route because the value of that money is guaranteed to go down. The risky route of investing is actually the only safe harbor. You have to flip your understanding of risk on its head. Risk is relying on a single paycheck. Risk is having zero assets. Risk is trusting that a pension that doesn't exist will save you. Security is owning a piece of the global economy that pays you dividends while you sleep. The math doesn't care about your feelings, your degree, or your intentions. It only cares about your inputs. And if your input is spend everything, your output will always be broke. Now that we've scared you with the math, let's fix the machine that controls the math, your brain. Wealth is 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. The reason you can't save isn't because you don't know how, it's because your psychology is wired for immediate gratification in a world that rewards delayed gratification. We need to apply inversion thinking, a mental model used by the smartest billionaires on the planet. Instead of asking, how do I get rich, ask yourself, what would guarantee I stay poor? The list is easy. Spend more than you earn, buy things to impress people you don't like, finance depreciating assets, never invest, and blame the economy for your problems. If you simply avoid those things, if you do the opposite of what a broke person does, you inevitably become wealthy. It's success by via negativa, success by subtraction. You don't need to be a genius, you just need to not be stupid. Most people are sleepwalking through their financial lives, operating on scripts handed to them by their broke parents or broke friends. Money is evil. Rich people are greedy. I'll start investing when I make more. These are limiting beliefs that act like parking brakes on your potential. You have to realize that money is neutral. It is an amplifier. If you are a generous person, money makes you more generous. If you are anxious, money makes you more anxious. But money solves money problems, and life has enough problems without worrying about rent. The psychological barrier you have to break is the identity gap. You currently identify as a spender or a survivor. You need to identify as an investor. An investor doesn't say, I can't afford that. An investor asks, is this the best use of my capital? When you go to buy that $5 coffee, the spender says, I deserve a treat. The investor says, this $5 compounded over 30 years is $100. Is this coffee worth $100 to my future self? Sometimes the answer is yes, and that's fine, but usually the answer is no. This small shift in perspective changes everything. Let's talk about the atomic habits of wealth. You don't get fit by going to the gym for 9 hours once a year. You get fit by going for 30 minutes every day. Money is identical. The huge, dramatic moves, like trying to pick the next winning crypto or timing the market bottom, usually result in disaster. The boring, unsexy habits, automating a $500 transfer to your brokerage account every payday, auditing your subscriptions once a month, cooking at home, create massive wealth. It's the snowball effect. At first, it looks like nothing is happening. You save for a year and have $6,000. It feels pointless, but then the compounding kicks in. The market jumps 20%. Suddenly, that $6,000 is $7,200 without you lifting a finger. Then you add another $6,000. Now you have $13,200. It starts to roll. Eventually, your portfolio grows by more in a single day than you earn in a month of working. That is the crossover point, and it is the holy grail of personal finance. But you will never reach the crossover point if you quit in the valley of disappointment, that early stage where the results haven't shown up yet. Psychologically, you have to fall in love with the process, not the result. The result, being a millionaire, is just a lagging indicator of your habits. If you have millionaire habits, the money will appear. If you have poverty habits, the money will disappear, even if you win the lottery. This is why 70% of lottery winners go broke. Their internal thermostat is set to broke, so they subconsciously destroy their wealth to get back to their comfort zone. You have to reset your thermostat. You have to get comfortable having money. You have to stop self-sabotaging the moment you get a little bit ahead. This requires deep introspection. Are you spending to soothe anxiety? Are you buying status because you feel small? Fix the internal engine and the external results will follow. The 80-20 rule applies here too. 80% of your financial success will come from 20% of your actions, specifically increasing your income and automating your investments. Everything else, clipping coupons, driving across town for cheaper gas, is noise. Focus on the big levers. Control your mind, control your spending, and you will control your destiny. You are standing at a crossroads right now. You can close this video, go back to scrolling, and let another year slip by where you work hard but get nowhere. Or you can make a vow to yourself. You can decide that 2026 is the year the cycle ends. You can decide that you are done being a victim of the middle-class bankruptcy algorithm. It starts with one move. Set up an automatic transfer for $50 or $100 or whatever you can squeeze out into an index fund. Do it today, not tomorrow, today. Your future self is begging you to be brave enough to start. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Let's get to work.